Hey everyone, stick with us versus herd. If it's your first time here, like the content, hit subscribe. If you want to get notifications from when we go live, tap the bell. We go live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before market open. And if you want to join the UVH fam, our community, links are below in the description to our Discord and our options trading group on Facebook. If you are here right now, say what up. Good morning. Hit the like button. Glad to see you guys all here. Happy Monday. We made it through the weekend, and S&Ps right now are down 8, Dow's down 57, Nasdaq down, S&P's down 9, Nasdaq down 45. So what's going on? Hank, Carl, Jeff, Goldfish, how are we doing this morning? Tan, what a mess is right. Can you comment on CN and CRWD pre-earnings as well as KR for advanced earnings late June's? Yo, Chris, Mason, Derek, Matt. Good morning. Hope you guys had a I think it was a rough weekend overall. I mean, for some more than others. Anyway, so let's get into it. We'll get to some of the protests and stuff like that in a bit. Yo, Matt, Michael, Ramsey, Ivan, Faiz, Keith, Juan. So we're good. So last night S&Ps popped up. They gapped down. S&Ps gapped down, hit 3,006, almost to the lows. If we zoom in here. You know, these were the lows on Friday before during the Trump speech. Now that Trump speech was wild. Basically, it was a press conference without the press. So basically, what happened was Trump came in hard regarding China and left. And like before, I was watching the live stream before they cut out. One of the reporters got caught by the mic. He goes, "What happened to the press conference?" And then they turned the live stream off. It was wild. It was wild. But basically, the market went up on Friday because we were possibly expecting Trump to do something regarding the trade agreement for with China that we did, the phase one trade deal that was completed in January. We thought that maybe he was going to go back or change some things regarding it. He did not, which is what caused the market to go up. Honestly, Americans don't really care about. I mean, let's be real. Americans don't really care what's going on in Hong Kong, but. Or let's say Americans maybe care about it, but Wall Street does not. Wall Street doesn't care about what's going on in Hong Kong, but they do care about that trade deal and that trade relationship with China. This is why the market was reacting a certain way. Right or wrong, it doesn't really matter, but that's what the market was reacting to. And as you can see last night, it popped back up here. Looking like we have some solid resistance here. Last couple of days, it popped up to the 30-50 area, dropped down, also dropped down last night, and it was big. I mean, it hit 30-55 and dropped all the way down to like the 30-20 area, and now it's popping back up a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. You know, looking at SPY popped down back down to 302 area and popped back up to 305. Right now it's 303. So I think it's gonna get a little bit wild. Yeah, we'll look at CRWD for sure. But yeah, things are a little wild right now. As you guys know, with the protests and all that, you know, impacting the stock market. What's kind of going on here? Amazon, Target, and specifically Target. So I don't know about Walmart, but there's a lot of Targets in the downtown areas that are being impacted by this. There's not really that many Walmarts, but Target especially, I think, is the most exposed here. You know, we don't have any downtown Chicago. We don't have any Walmarts, but we do have a lot. There are a lot of Targets in downtown Chicago. So their Target's actually going to be closing 175 stores Apple's going to be closing some stuff, even though Apple mostly was closed. They did reopen 100 stores, but it's gonna be it's. I honestly don't know. I don't know what to say about this, but the any Target employee impacted by a store closure will be paid for up to 14 days, including COVID-19 premium pays. So, well, that's good. At least they're taking care of their employees. So they're not, the Target stores are temporarily closed. They're not closed for good. So Target this morning, Target's up at, it dipped down. I mean, pretty much just with the market. So they've only said 175, but it's more than that. Let's see. I mean, I looked at the on Target. I looked at the actual list that was on Target.com that they were reporting, but it may have changed. That was from last night. So they said last night 175 were closing, and who knows? Maybe it's gonna be more than that. But it's gonna be a problem for sure. Looking at the riots and that, I heard meat prices are going up a lot lately. Well, they went down a lot, but in terms of the riots and the grocery stores, pharmacies. I mean, if they close them, and then people are looting them, and people are not going to be able to get their prescriptions. People in need, looting Walgreens, Targets. I mean, there's a lot of sick people that need medication. There's a lot of older people that they need food and supplies they don't have, or they don't realize the capabilities they have with the internet. And Amazon may not even go deliver to certain areas right now. But in Chicago specifically, I mean, I know there were quite a few people that I know that were protesting peacefully. And then the rioters, I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, call me out here, guys, but I don't think the protesters and the rioters are on the same side here. I don't think so, in my opinion. I don't think. The line is definitely blurred. I think the rioters are taking advantage of a situation and making the protesters look bad. I think the protesters were protesting peacefully. And in Chicago, they shut down Lakeshore Drive peacefully. They shut down things peacefully. They shut down streets peacefully. And then there's rioters, and then there were looters that were from a separate group. And people think that they're black people. They're not black people. There's white people, and they're not even, and they're looting minority-owned businesses. I mean, we had reports here that gangs were working with Chicago Police Department to stop the looting of their businesses. Like, in Chicago, there is a lot of small businesses that were burned, that were looted, destroyed. Gas stations. One of the oldest camera stores in Chicago started here in 1899. It was burned to the ground. Small business, family owned. It's not like you're looting Target and these big corporations. Sure, everyone's going to get an insurance payout, but for most people, if your business burned to the ground, that's your livelihood. That's it. That's it. How long it's going to take to rebuild or even do it at all? Like, they're not going to rebuild the communities the way that they were. They're not going to try to. Why would you try to make that community better after you burned that business to the ground? If my business got burned to the ground, would I want to build the new business right there after the community burned it to the ground? I mean, for me, not really. I don't think so. But I think the rioters, especially in Chicago, and the scary thing is these are the places I go all the time. Take my family, right by Water Tower. People were getting shot. People were getting stabbed. And it wasn't the police shooting them. It was other people. And there's other people that are also looting for their own personal gain. They're taking advantage. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on over here, but the protesters. They shut down Lakeshore Drive peacefully. They shut down things peacefully. And then another group came in and just started ransacking. And because there were so many people, I know people that were gotten arrested. There were people that, I mean, it was, I don't know. I just don't, I think that the protesters were doing the right thing, and they were protesting for what they believe in, and they were going about it peacefully in a peaceful manner. And then something happened, and the different group came in and started tearing stuff up, lighting things on fire, you know, the whole F the police type deal. And it just got out of control. It just got out of control. And I think that where the confusion maybe was like, if people are looting, and maybe some of the protesters are like, hey, like once you have like mob rule, then anything is kind of going. You're going to be starting to go loot different places, and maybe you were there for protesting and you started looting too. Like that's just what happened. But the protests, I don't know about other cities. They were organized on social media to meet at certain places to have an organized protest and a peaceful protest. And then something happened, and it just went wild. And they've been burning the city for 3 days. You know, like I don't know what's going on, but it seems like there's multiple agendas going on right now, and you know, and the agenda, unfortunately, that is not getting the news coverage is the agenda of the police brutality. Right? The original protest. Like, I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, maybe. And there's a bunch of, like, you know, tinfoil hat theories with George Soros and that whole thing, and I don't know. But what I do know is that the people that were protesting peacefully. Then another group came in, started wreaking havoc, and it went wild, especially in the Chicago area. But like for the looters, the police weren't doing anything for the looters. The police were literally arresting protesters, and the looters, they were not arresting and letting them destroy businesses. Like, why? Like, why would you? I don't know. And so I don't know. I've been trying to wrap my head around it and trying to figure out, you know, what we can do as a community of us versus herd here to have an impact in a positive way and try to do something that will help people, especially in our community, in the Chicagoland community, right? In my community, not really where you, I know there's some people here from Chicago, so, you know, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. America has paid reparations to everyone else but black people. They should have already cut the check. Black people built this country as slaves. We literally built the White House. Yeah, I mean, the protesters want equality. They also want to end, police brutality. And they're just, you know, the protesters are just tired of, you know, of the killings, of the unwarranted, unequal treatment. You know, like if I were to get arrested, I don't probably have to fear for my life. Let's be honest. Okay. That's the part of privilege. Now, somebody else, you know, that's a minority or black, has to, you know, if they get arrested or even pulled over, you know, I've talked to many of my friends. They're scared to death. They're scared to death. Like, if I get pulled over by the cops, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like, oh man, I'm gonna have to pay a ticket. I was probably going a little bit over. Those are the thoughts that are in my head, you know. And none of them are like, man, I hope. None of them are ever like, I hope he doesn't make me get out of my car. I hope he doesn't point a gun at me. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's not racist. I hope he, you know what I mean? That's the stuff. That's the stuff that doesn't go through my head, but I've talked to many of my friends, and those are their concerns. You know, those are their concerns. You know, and I definitely encourage, like, if, like, for someone like me, for someone like you, if you're pretty insulated from racism and that type of thing, reach out to different communities, talk to them, talk to different people that learn from their experiences. That's the only way that I've discovered, because in my life I've never really faced any racism. And when a cop pulls me over, it says have a good day, sir. So I mean, that's the difference, and that is what they are fighting for. Equality, reparations, and just to be treated like human beings, like everybody else. That's like, is it too much to ask to be treated like a human being? Like the whole 9/11, when people were pulling people out of cabs and beating cab drivers, is like, those people didn't do anything in regards to terrorism. You're just angry at a particular group, and you're taking your frustration out on them. I mean, that's all it was. I mean, everyone here, George Floyd was just as much of an American as I am. I mean, that we're all protected under the same Constitution. So, I know this stream kind of went off a little bit, but I mean, I just think that the looters, rioters are a separate group than the protesters. The protesters are fighting for something they believe in, and the looters and the rioters are only in it for themselves, and they're trying to ruin it for the people that actually are trying to and have change moving forward. Like, looting and rioting is not going to change anything, but make people angry, shut down businesses, shut down communities, and they're shutting down grocery stores, and people in the city right now, they can't even go to the grocery store. They're all closed. Like, what if you had no food? What if your 90-year-old grandma's sitting at home and she doesn't have any food? So that's about all that I have to say about it. I mean, we'll have to figure it out, but let's talk some stocks here. But we just need I don't know. It's just frustrating that you would burn your own community to the ground. Like, bro, we all live here. We all work here to build this community, so we all have jobs and all that. Like, why would you destroy where you work and live? Like, why would you do that? I mean, unless you just I don't know. I don't know. Tesla. Yeah, Tesla's ripping. I sold some premium in here last week. It made some money. Tesla might try to sell some more premium in here, try to catch this. But what we're looking at Tesla right now, 865. We're looking at it, breaking this high up here. Definitely looking like it's going to. We're at 862 right now. It is above resistance, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at open, if it's going to get the flush or not. Right now, Nasdaq struggling a little bit. Dow's down a little bit. Nothing crazy, but right now Tesla is above resistance at 862. It just needs a hold up above here to probably squeeze up to 1,000. Honestly. What's your opinion on space? I've been staying out of space just because I don't know how to value it, but it might be a sympathy play off of SpaceX. Derek, appreciate you, man. Thanks for the perspective. It's not all about stocks, and that's why this channel is great. Yeah, I mean, this is something that is impacting everybody, and not just the market. I mean, the market doesn't seem to care right now because it's not really going to impact the supply chains or anything. But I have a feeling like if they don't shut this looting down, like, I think that they should have, when the people protest, it's submitted to the mayor of Chicago, and I don't know if it's the same for you, but I'm talking about specifically Chicago. It's submitted because they're like, hey, we're going to protest at this location because we don't want to get beat or arrested. We don't want that to happen. We want to protest peacefully to get our voice heard, right? But those are organized. There's a time, a location, everyone's expected to meet there, and that's what happens. But then in Chicago, it got crazy. They said, hey, there's a 9 p.m. curfew, and if you guys don't know about Chicago, there's a river running through it, and there's bridges to get down to the downtown area, and if you raise the bridges, you're trapped on like an island type of scenario. Sure, there's some other ways you can get around, but you're basically trapped for the majority of people. You're going to have to walk many miles to get to a cross. So they put, and this is Mayor Lightfoot, our new mayor, look her up. She said, hey, there's a 9 p.m. curfew, and then raised the bridges. And it was basically, I was kind of thinking it was the time, like, you know, when Scarecrow went crazy in Gotham City, and they raised the bridges and left everybody in there to, you know, go basically insane. And that's what's happened. You know, that's what happened. They said, hey, 9 p.m. curfew. Oh, we're gonna raise the bridges, shut down the trains so nobody can leave, so that way all of these people can get arrested. Like, what the, you know, like what is going on? And then they were arresting protesters, not people looting and destroying businesses. Like, why would you, like, if I'm just standing on the street protesting or just standing there, they would arrest me probably because I'm an easy target because I'm not doing anything. But then the people that are burning down small businesses and looting, they said they get a pass. Now what's gonna happen? Kind of like with the pandemic. This is gonna push different things. So with the pandemic, if you guys didn't look at your phone, I don't even know if I updated my phone. Let me check. If you guys don't know with your phone, look at your iPhone. Okay, I didn't update yet. Okay, but basically, there's a new update, iOS 13.5. iOS 13.5 speeds up access to the passcode field on your devices with Face ID when you're wearing a mask. So when I'm wearing a mask, it'll bring up my passcode faster, and then introduces the exposure notification API to support COVID-19 contact tracing apps from public health authorities. So in this new update on your iPhone, they're going to have a contact tracing API that they could tap in to trace your phone, which they were already doing it anyways, but this is on another level. This is like a backdoor type situation. Now, this is what happened with the pandemic, is they got approval, and people, it's okay to spy on people. It's okay to spy on people if it's for the greater good, right? Right? It wasn't okay before, but if I'm gonna get sick, it's okay to spy on me. It's okay if you think I'm gonna get in contact with somebody that's gonna be sick, that's okay, right? So that's how that's how this stuff's installed in your phone. And now what's gonna happen, especially in Chicago, they're gonna put out the cameras like crazy, where it's gonna, you know, like they have in China, that scans faces. It's gonna rally people up. We're gonna corral people. I mean, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. So they're going to, and they're not going to need, because they're going to say, hey, you know, they're going to, the people that are getting the approvals for these things. I mean, they're not minorities. They're all white. They're all business owners. They all have investments in the community. They're saying, hey, if you want money in your community, you need to install this stuff, and you don't need congressional approval. So just be mindful that the next phase is going to be public surveillance in the streets. We already have, like in Chicago, there's already a ton, but it's going to be, because of this, I know that it's going to be advanced surveillance of pedestrians or civilians or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's going to be wild. So I haven't installed this update on my phone, but that's what's going to happen. So with the pandemic, they approved these contact tracing apps. Now with the riots, they're going to go in, and they're going to go in with the civilian surveillance. Just watch. And I'm not a tinfoil type of dude. I'm not. I'm just watching things as they go down, watching how technology evolves, and that's what's happening. Is, if you guys remember, everything before this was, oh, Facebook's tracking every grocery store and movie theater you go to. You can turn off, blah, blah, blah. And all we cared about was privacy. Then the pandemic hit. We didn't care about privacy anymore because you wanted to live. You didn't want to get sick, right? So then and none of this stuff, when the pandemic's over, when the riots are over, none of this stuff is going to leave. Sure, the pandemic will be over, the riots will be over, but none of this stuff is going to, this technology is not going to leave. It's going to be in. And they're going to use it for COVID-19 tracking. Then they're going to be using it for criminal tracking. And then how do you define a criminal? How do you know who to surveil? Who do you know who to spy on, right? So it's gonna be wild, guys. Like it's very, like, it's making me sick. Like it's very disturbing to me. And from that perspective, because they're putting technology, they're using this to implement technology we would normally not approve. Yo, what's going on, Alex? Yo, Luke, what's going on? So I don't know what's going on, but something that is bigger is at play, and I really think that they need to, they. I don't even know. I honestly don't know how they could do this, but I mean, I think that they should use more force against the people that are looting, whether they're, and a lot of them are white people, whether there are black people, there are Mexican people. I mean, there's Asian people. They were looting too. Everyone was looting. But don't arrest the protesters that are trying to spark change, because now their voices, and this is probably the agenda, their voices were suppressed. Well, we're not talking about George Floyd anymore. We're talking about businesses being burned to the ground. I mean, they're changing the narrative. We're like, oh, we're not talking about COVID-19 anymore. We're talking about riots, and Trump is saying that it's the Democrats' fault. Democrat cities are going up in flame. Blah blah blah. Which, I mean, there is truth to that. Illinois is Democratic. Mayor's Democratic. LA, same thing. But so I don't know. We gotta figure this out. Though. People's voices need to be heard in a peaceful manner, but there's no control. Yeah, I mean, it's a wild place. I mean, Chicago. I mean, people were getting shot right on Michigan Avenue. I mean, over in a period of 36 hours, 17 people were killed and 35 people were wounded. I don't know what the number ended at on Sunday night, but that's the deal. All right, sorry guys, kind of went off on a rant here. Let's talk about some stocks here. You guys are looking at Disney. We're looking at CRWD, right? Disney I think could pop back up here. So we'll just give it some time. I think Disney could pop back up. They are going to be reopening. However, they do have a new waiver. Disney put out a new waiver saying, hey, if you get coronavirus and you die, it's not our fault. So know the risk when entering the park. And that's how they're opening it. Now, I do think that the virus over the weekend, there have been reports that the numbers are falling dramatically, which will definitely help people out. Sure, people will definitely get sick, but the rate is a lot lower. So technically right now, I don't know if it's summertime or what the case is, or we're in quarantine, or who knows. But what we do know, infection rates are going down. Disney's opening back up. However, they did say, hey, enter at your own risk. If you get coronavirus, you cannot sue us. If you die from coronavirus, you cannot sue us. So enter at your own risk, basically. So Disney. I mean, I think when they reopen, this is going to push back up to 130, 135. I think it's going to kind of hug this area in here. Probably the lower end, I'm shooting for like 130, 129 area is my target right now. I do have a debit spread on for July, so I'm looking for it to push back up into there. Now, Space SPCE right now, it's up a bit, and I think it's a sympathy play. Now, SPCE is basically a competitor to SpaceX is Virgin Galactic. Now, if you guys don't know, SpaceX launched the first manned aircraft to the space station from U.S. soil. Previously, the U.S. was relying on Russia to get to the International Space Station, and this is the first manned space mission from the U.S. in the last decade, because the space program, the government ended the space program in 2011, and the last one to go out was like 2010. So in 2020, this is the first manned space flight from U.S. soil, Cape Canaveral in Florida, and they used SpaceX. SpaceX got there first. Now, Virgin Galactic, SPCE, is probably going to get a sympathy play. However, SpaceX is miles ahead of SPC, of Virgin Galactic. So SpaceX is miles ahead in their competitor, and that's how they got there first. But what we like, or Americans like, and what Wall Street likes is, hey, we're not relying on Russia anymore to get us to space. We're relying on, and this is also the first time it was a private company heading this up, working with NASA. So this was historic. This was monumental, and Virgin Galactic is getting, is benefiting from that, because commercial space flight is going to happen. Now, I don't know. It's gonna be a long time. I do think this is probably gonna push up to the 20 area. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so stock market just opened up, but Virgin Galactic, I do think it's gonna probably pop up to here 20, and then wait to see if it can break 20. That'll be great, and then it can push higher. But now that we have some ranges, we can start trading Virgin Galactic. Like when it was just going straight up, I stayed away. But now that we have some solid ranges here on Virgin Galactic, I feel more comfortable in trying to put a position on here. If it comes back down to 16, I might try to buy some calls or buy some put spreads, or credit put spreads. So right now the market just opened up. SPY is kind of ripping up a little bit. Yeah, we're basically at break even right now at the close. I mean, it's at 304 basically. SPY, Dow's down 101, Nasdaq is down 16, so relatively chill. Tesla's getting above resistance here, so this is gonna pull back. If it pulls back down to 850, might try to put some credit put spreads on there as well. DKNG, yeah, So DKNG, I mean, I had the 35 call, sold it already, and now it's ripped up to 41. I mean, just insane. So DKNG on quite the run from 28 up to 40, and I'm hoping that there's a red day and we can add to the position. But the thing is, I'm not the only one with that trade idea. There's a lot of people that want a red day on DKNG to load up. Boeing's down a little bit. It's at 144. It's down about $1. So right now the market is pretty chill, kind of scanning it. Volatility is up a little bit. VXX is up 2%. Roku's up a little bit. Look at this. Beyond's up $8 right now. I mean, just crazy. Sorry if I missed some of your guys' comments today. I just was going off on rant. Let me read some of these comments. All right, I don't know if Mason's still here, but QQQ, if you guys can do me a favor, hit the like button. Let's look at QQQ. Let's see what's going on with the Qs. Man, the end of the day ramp up was disgusting on Friday. It squeezed. I think it got a little bit out of control because everyone was practically short, and they just ripped that right open. But the Qs, if we're looking at the Qs, I mean, the trend is still your friend. It filled this nice gap here and kind of stalling out now. So now that it filled the gap and we're back up here near all-time highs, I mean, we're literally right now, 5 points away from all-time highs on the Qs coming out of a pandemic. I mean, that's wild. That is wild. So my thoughts right now, I'm just kind of trying to play it safe, and if we do drop a little bit, like, are we going, like, I anticipate now that the pandemic, I'm not going to say the pandemic is over, right? But it's getting priced in, and that I think that we're going to probably have a range bound year, especially leading up to the election. But the question is, what is going to be the range? What's going to be the range? Is it like between 230 and 200? Is it 215 and 245? What's the range? And that's kind of what the market is going to have to try to figure out, because now it's starting to run out of steam as we approach these all-time highs here. So now that the market is running out of steam a little bit, it might want to establish some sort of range, and it might come down a little bit before moving back up. So we'll see. That's kind of my theory on the overall market right now, is now that it's recovered so much, is like, what's going to happen? Is it going to move? Is it just going to explode? I don't think. I mean, I think that earnings and stuff will get better. I think what's going to be interesting is I think that they're going to have a low threshold for next earnings. So everyone already pulled their 2020 guidance. So we don't know what the guidance is going to be. So we don't know if they beat guidance or not. We don't know. We don't know if they're beating guidance or not. On top of that, so that's one of the variable coming out for earnings. Another variable is going to be that the earnings expectations could be so low next quarter that they easily beat them, and the market skyrockets, right? So that is probably a good scenario that will most likely happen, is that they're going to underprice the earnings, and they're going to beat earnings because it wasn't as bad as they expected. But we'll see when people go back. I mean, we have a long way to go. I mean, there's still 41 million people unemployed. We have a long way to go here to get things back to normal. In July 1st is when that additional $600 a week for unemployment is supposed to be taken off. Now, I know that they want to push another stimulus, but the Democrats already passed it. But the Senate, the House passed it. The Republican Senate says they're not going to pass it, so they're going to have to work together to get a bill out. And the Democrats or the House wanted to push it to the unemployment benefits till January. However, Republicans are saying no, it's supposed to end July 1st. So that's gonna be interesting. Today's June 1st. We're here, June 1st. So those unemployment benefits right now are set to expire within a month. So let's look at CRWD. Whoa. Okay. CRWD, CrowdStrike. So this is before earnings. I mean, it's before earnings here. What day's earnings? Tomorrow. So tomorrow's earnings on this thing. You when a stock runs this hard, you know, for me, I just want to be very mindful of where it's at. And right now, the premiums are relatively high, 140% for this week. So, you know, it wouldn't be bad. I mean, volume is relatively low, so you want to be careful. So it wouldn't be bad to sell some premium in this. Not at all, if it's a stock you believe in. So it might be more of a neutral play. It might be priced in. The way that it's moved already might be priced in. It might be moving. Might be it, unless they totally bomb earnings. Aaron, I wouldn't complain on a Home Depot red day. And I was at home. I didn't build anything. I repaired my deck over the weekend. I went to Lowe's, and it was wild. It was wild in there. It was Home Depot was wild. Lowe's was wild. But that's not really what you want to invest in. You know, you want to invest more on technical levels. And now that it's broke the high, buy the Home Depot dip, man. You got to buy the Home Depot dips. That's it. It's above resistance. You buy the red days. Yes, I mean it came down quite a bit, but you buy the red days. What do you think about Microsoft? Now Microsoft is a little bit scary to me, and I think this is what's going to be leading like the Qs and those type of things. Those type of ETFs and stocks is like this trend. Look, I think that it's topped out. This is the same thing we were talking about the Qs. It's topped out near all-time highs here, and it's getting tired, and it's consolidating between 180 and 185. Now, the one of the scary things, though, is if you look at Microsoft's personality, The last time it did this, I mean, it was, let's go back to a year ago. It consolidated in a 5-point range before having another leg up last year, 2019, for so it consolidated between 135 and 140 for 1, 2, 3 to 4 months. It was basically in the 135 to 140 range for 4 months, right in here. So Microsoft, if you look at Microsoft's past and then go into the future, where we're at now, it's consolidating, and it could very well consolidate for its next leg up, or we could become more range bound and have a little bit more volatility, come back down to 160, pop back up to 180, that type of scenario. So it seems like whatever it wants to do, it wants to go slow. It wants to go slow. So if it breaks the 180 area easily, 175. I mean, as you can see that before, last couple times it broke 180, dipped 175, popped back up. So right now that's the range. Right now it stopped out around 185, coming back down into range. So, as an options trader, don't get too stuck on price. Just play the ranges. Like, look at the ranges, play the ranges. Don't care about long being long or short. Just play the price. Trade the price. Target. See, Target. I mean, Target is struggling a little bit. I think that once it bottoms out, I mean, it'll pop back up again. I mean, they're getting Target's getting ransacked. I mean, they're getting hit hard in this whole rioting thing. I mean, and it also was kind of topping out already. It was also I don't know if it was going to, like, if the riots didn't happen, was this going to pop back up to 125, 130 area, or is this in a downtrend channel now? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm watching Target to see kind of what happens with it and see how long these stores need to be shut down for. If the stores reopen, we're going to definitely get a nice pop from Target, probably rip back up. But I don't know. I got to research a little bit. I got to research a little bit more on what's going to be happening with Target, how long they'll be, and I guess it depends on what the damage is for Target. Like, how badly damaged did Target get in the rioting, looting, and fires and all that. So right now, I'm kind of a wait and see right now on Target. Now, this week we do have some reports. So we do have some reports this week. We had the construction spending today, manufacturing report. Wednesday, ADP non-farm, which I guess do the jobless reports even matter at this point? I mean, do we even care? Apparently not. Of course, we have the weekly jobless claims, and then Friday we have non-farm payrolls as well. So it's a pretty heavy week unemployment rate for Friday. So this is going to show what happened last month and what the numbers were. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they're not going to be as bad as we thought. Maybe they're going to be worse. We don't know. But just letting you know. A lot of reports this week. Be mindful of where we're at. These are the numbers coming out for last week. So, this is the first of the month, June 1st. We made it. Congratulations. But do you trade Nasdaq 100? Yes. So I mean, I trade a lot of things. We trade a lot of different products here. Futures, trade futures, options, different ETFs, different indexes. Yellow, is it moving? Oh man, yeah, DKNG. How's premium going up? So it's only up. It's only at 40%. They're starting to get smart in pricing in the premium right. They're starting to price the premium right now. Uber and Grub. Let's see what these guys are doing. So if you guys didn't see, like last week, Uber and Grubhub were just going nuts. These were just ripping up pretty hard here. Actually, might close my. Let's see what SPY is doing. Well, real quick, Uber and Grub ripped on Friday because they're nearing a deal and people piled in there. So we'll see what happens. They're actually they just turned Grubhub. Well, Grubhub is on the fence right now. It just turned green now, went red, and Uber is trying to go green, but we're gonna close this out. It'll be break even for me if I can close this out, and then we'll see what happens. See if we can get this closed out. Okay, so I just closed out. What I did here is I closed out. I was short the SPY. Now I probably shouldn't have to play this on. So I made $165 shorting SPY on Friday. I just lost $177, so I didn't want to lose any more now that this is ramping up pretty good. So I'm basically, and this is a good example why you don't close trades, and this is one of my rules. I broke it. Why you don't close trades and reopen it like immediately. So what I did is I closed out my SPY short, and I didn't wait for a new setup to develop, and I entered a new SPY short, and I got ripped a new one. So basically, I'm losing on this whole deal. So I made, what did I make? 165 last week on Friday, entered a new position. So I lost $12. I lost $12 on SPY. So it's not the deal, but what you don't want is you don't want to give up your gains like that. You don't want to give up your gains. Disney were down a little bit, Grub were down a little bit, but these are coming back a little bit. So you don't, I got some money back. I got some money back on this when it moved down here a little bit on SPY. Probably should close it out. Open one was a lot lower, but it is what it is. I kind of wanted to see what was going to happen with it. So I lost $12 on the overall trade because I made $165 and then I re-entered a short. So that's how you learn. Just get reminded. So you make mistakes and move forward. But yeah, SPY right now, things are, market's kind of mixed. Now Tesla moving above resistance, 34. So what I found is Tesla is definitely not a stock you wanna short, and it's starting to break. It was a little bit choppy range here between 800 and 830, and now it's breaking out. So here we go. Beyond, another stock I trade a lot, coming back up to resistance here. So we're gonna see what happens at 140. Docu, we'll see what's going on with DocuSign. Another stock I trade a lot, man. 143. DocuSign and Zoom have earnings this week, so be careful. Zoom has earnings tomorrow after market close. So Zoom, Slack, these guys all have earnings. Thoughts on Netflix? Let's see what Zoom's doing real quick. Ooh, 191. Got squeezed out last week. Yeah, Netflix, I mean, Netflix has been struggling a little bit. It looks like it wants to rip back up, but I would be very careful right in here. It's been getting rejected right around 420. Gap, it moved up around 420, pushing back down. So it needs to be able to break this area 420 to get back up. Otherwise, it may come down to like the 400 area. Like the candle. Yeah, I'm still working on it. I gotta fix this whole set, but thanks Daniel. I'm trying to pretty much redo my whole setup here, and it's in progress right now. It's in process. Just got into space calls. Got to rip up with the hype. Nice tan. So yeah, I'm changing everything. I got to fix the lighting up. Makes half my face like dark and half my face light. So I got to change my lighting here in a little bit. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we're gonna try to make some money today. Is what we're gonna try to do. I think we will. So I'm going to pop off here, guys. I'll be up in the Discord. You guys have a good trading day. As always, stay safe, stay green. It's us versus herd.